Today we are going to start our video of creating a laser cut boat panel. Now if any of you are following on my channel, you will see that I'm busy unpacking and creating my Omtech, or fixing up my Omtech 60 that was shipped to me in damaged shipping. And I actually have a client that wants a panel, and I was hoping to do it on the new Omtech 60. However, we're waiting for Omtech to send us a new laser, and that's all in the Omtech video. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and look at that. So what we're going to do today, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how I have been making these laser panels. Along with, I'm also going to use the old software, because I have actually started to, well, I bought Lightburn and I've been starting to learn Lightburn. But however, today I'm going to do everything the way I used to do it, the old-fashioned way. So I used to create my panels in Adobe Illustrator and then export them, import them onto my Microsoft laptop, because at the time I didn't have Lightburn, so the only driver for my old laser used to need a Microsoft laptop. I'm all Mac, yes, whatever. I love my Mac products. Anyway, so we have gone ahead today and we've got the program uploaded with the USB drive onto the Microsoft. And we're going to go ahead and show you how I have been setting up for these laser cut materials. So the panels we have been creating are these panels which we create out of acrylic cast plexiglass, and effectively that's the back and that's the front, and these are all stainless steel switches. And everything you see has been custom designed. This is for a customer of ours, his Deep Impact, and custom engraved. So we are going to go ahead and guys, if you're enjoying these videos as much as I am, enjoying my rum and orange juice, definitely, I'm in the Caribbean, I have to enjoy it. Guys, if you're enjoying these videos, please go ahead and click the like, the subscribe, and the notification button. To be honest, I've only learnt all about those recently. I always used to subscribe to people I'd like videos, but then I'd always wonder why these guys aren't putting out videos, and then I'd find that they actually have. So in actual fact, you liking just this video, you're not just liking me. Yes, I know I'm so likable. The subscribe button is you subscribing and you liking my channel. The like button is you actually enjoying that video, and the notification button is actually so that you get notified every time I put out a new video. They should actually just come up with a little button saying, do you like all three? YouTube, take note. But yeah, please guys, if you're liking this and enjoying this and watching me grow on my channel, please go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, and notification button, and we will be getting out more fun videos for you. Alright, so you will get different kinds of plexiglass. Well, when I say different kinds of coverings. Sometimes you'll have paper on them, sometimes you'll have plastic. This particular one has a plastic coating, and we're going to go ahead and remove the plastic coating from both sides. Now, there's lots of other things we're going to be doing with the other laser, and some lasers you can leave the coating on. However, today, like I explained, we're going to be using my old laser diode cutter, which I bought from Amazon, and it has been absolutely amazing. It's one of those put together units, and this unit has done me really well for the last almost 2 years now. And I've only used it, it began as a project of something I needed to do or wanted to do when I was bored, and has actually turned into something that's become a bit of a business. So I started making some odds and ends, and I made a switch panel for one of the boats we made at the factory as a project, and it turned out really well. And from there we had people asking us if we could make panels for their boats. Now, I know a lot of people say don't go away and give out your business ideas, and however, I have found that no idea is original, and even if you think your idea is the most original idea in the world, somebody's most probably thought of it and possibly even tried it. Go YouTube it. However, that being said, there's a lot of older boats that have switch panels, which, let me show you a picture of it here. And the older switches were these toggle switches, which pretty much, when you get on a boat nowadays and you get on, the boat could actually be a 30, 40-year-old boat. However, if you walk up to a helm and it looks like this, automatically your first impressions is, wow, this is a new boat, just because the panel, dash panel and switches are stainless steel and look good. So there's a lot of guys that have older boats that are very happy with their boats, don't wish to change them, but would like to have that more, first of all, newer look and also more practical, because the old plastic toggle switches, for anybody that's been a boater knows, break and they're really not good. And these new stainless steel switches are a lot better. Now, we personally use our switches from a company where the link is down below. Absolutely love these switches. They between from 10 amp all the way up to 20 amp. Really good, waterproof, work really great. There's also another company called Boca that does Boca switches. The fantastic switches, really good. The reason why I don't use them is just I found that the switches that I use from this company are a lot, well, I wouldn't say a lot better. They're identical. They work great. I have a lot better response from this company. So I go ahead and use switches as I feel they give me a good service and I like them. Okay, enough of blah, 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 blah. All right, so we have the cover, we have the protective cover removed from the plexiglass. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and clean it. Now there's two products that I use to clean it. When I have the paper covering and I see that it leaves a bit of the paper covering, you get a little bit of the adhesive sticking to the plexiglass. The plastic cover I like because it comes off and it leaves it really clean. Now, there are numerous options that I've tried and tested. One that works pretty good, haven't had a problem with it when you have the plastic protective layer. It's just dishwashing soap and water, works great. I found if you have the paper adhesive covering, that doesn't work as great and it leaves a little residue. Now, when you're using a diode printer, I'm going to show you in a minute what happens if you don't clean the plexiglass correctly. So we're going to go ahead and what I personally use and what I like is alcohol. So not the rum that I enjoy drinking so much. Surgical alcohol that you get for cleaning purposes. I find that works really well. And I know I've seen people say, don't do it, whatever. It's dangerous. Obviously, always you're supposed to use your laser in a well-ventilated area. And if you're really going to put alcohol on your laser and put it under your laser while there's still alcohol in it, and you're going to find out what everybody tells you, that alcohol is flammable and it'll burn. So if you really want to test the theory of does alcohol burn under a laser, I'm not responsible for your actions. So when you use alcohol, wipe it already down with alcohol in a well-ventilated area, wait for it to dry 10, 15 minutes so that there's no more residue of alcohol on your plexiglass, and then we'll continue. So let's go ahead and give this a clean. Right, once you've got your plexiglass clean, like you say, you can use alcohol, dishwashing soap and water, even Windowline works good. So once you've got your plexiglass clean, this is the product that I use. It is black laser marking spray by Omtech. Now, I was actually using this before I bought my Omtech laser, and there's various different variations of this. I haven't tried them all. This is the one that I found that works. Now you can also go ahead and use water-based paints. I personally haven't tried it. I believe it works just fine. You don't want to use any enamel. Effectively what this does is it creates a coat of matte paint on the back of the plexiglass so that the laser penetrates all the way through and actually reflects off the matte paint, which causes it to burn and melt or burn or cut, however it would, basically melt in the plexiglass. Otherwise, the laser will just go right through the plexiglass as it doesn't see any resistance. Now that's why with the paper on the plexiglass, you can put the paper on and use that. I personally have tried it and I felt I didn't get a real clean line, especially when I'm making little letters for the switches. It wasn't giving me a clear cut. So for me, the best thing that I've found is this black laser marking spray. It's water based, and once you've sprayed it on, you need to be really careful because any little mark or bump will actually leave a mark. So taking our paint that we have already given a good shake on, you basically just go ahead and almost just dust it on. That's pretty much all that's needed, and go ahead and let that dry. So this is the laser that I purchased and you put together. Now, like I said, this has been a really excellent little product for me. It's worked really well. When I bought it, it actually came with this little diode laser, which was a 50 MW laser. I then went up and upgraded to another laser, which was this one over here, which I believe was a 20 watt. And I have another 20 watt laser here. This particular one works a lot better than the one. Now, something that this didn't come with, and I highly recommend you get, is you can buy on Amazon or you can 3D print. And this actually adjusts the laser height from the bottom. Another thing that is really highly recommended is one of these little honeycomb mats or floor pieces, because that actually allows the air at the bottom and it doesn't build up heat. If you're going to be laser cutting on plastic or wood, there's a chance of fire and obviously melt the plastic, damage the wood. So these little honeycomb mats I found are really good, especially for the plexiglass cutting or acrylic cutting or engraving, not cutting, as the heat doesn't build up underneath and it doesn't melt, and it actually works. So a few little different adds on if you're going to be going with a little diode laser. The height adjustment and the honeycomb floor base piece for the laser cutting. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this set up. Alright, so going into the Engraver Master, I'm not going to bore you too much. We're going to go in, but pretty much we have our file. We go ahead and choose our file, and like I say, this is something that people can go ahead and learn. I'm not going to start lessons on Engraver software. It opens a bunch of options, and I have found that using the original is probably the best. And if you can see, this is kind of hazy, so I'm not happy with that one. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a different model. And when I use the PNG, we find we get a bit of a different clarity and it's a little better. Now over there we have the test size, and we're going to go ahead and test the size. But first what we need to do is make sure that we have homed, or at least bought Now that we have our acrylic painted, I just wanted to go ahead and say you've got to be really careful, because as you can see, this marking paint wipes off really easy. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to put this in the laser with the marking paint to the bottom, not the top. So this will be the top. Now when placing this in, you don't want to slide it. You want to lift it up and move it in, because if you slide it, that marking paint that we put in will actually scratch. And we're not concerned about that, but if you can see that little scratch, so if we were actually engraving there, when the diode laser runs over there, it wouldn't actually engrave the plexiglass, so you'd have a little missing spot there. So just to explain the diode laser, I'm not going to get into too much details. I'll put some links over here. Diode laser and a CO2 laser. Here are the differences between the two. That being said, with the diode laser would go directly through the plexiglass, and it would only then hit the honeycomb at the bottom, or wood, or any other surface you had on the bottom. the laser needs to basically reflect off something. So what we've done with this laser marking tape is the laser is actually going to now effectively be burning the marking tape, and with the heat of that, it actually then melts or cuts, however you want to describe it, into the acrylic or the plexiglass, which will then engrave them. So what we're doing now is not in mirror effect, because effectively, as we look at it, is how it's going to now cut. So giving you this example, this is the back. So this is where actually the engraving is. Effectively, that on top of there is exactly how we want it to cut or engrave, or have the laser in fact. So we're going to go back now and realign our homing head to make sure that the entire area that we're going to cut is actually going to be on the acrylic. Now, you can actually put the laser on if you want to for this. I found that sometimes it actually leaves a line and I'm not happy with it. So we go ahead and test the size. And as we can see, it's going to cover the plexiglass exactly where we want it to be. As you see, I'm not the best person for a lot of times for safety. However, recently I had eye surgery done to correct cataracts and everything else. And it's been amazing to be able to see again without glasses. And one thing the eye doctor told me, the biggest danger to your eyes is lights, sunlight, laser light. So always get yourself protective lenses when you do this. Just make it a habit to put it on. Now we are going to run a burn on this cut on this plexiglass, and we're actually going to do it twice. Now in this program and all the settings, maybe I haven't been able to find a place on this Grave Master light burn. You can choose how many passes you want, 2, 3. Like I said, this particular one I'm going to do exactly how I've been doing it, and then we'll go ahead and do it with light burn on the new laser. We may even use light burn on this laser to do one more. So on this particular thing, I'm going to go ahead and put my glasses on, and we're going to go ahead and have the laser start. Now this machine is an older machine. It does a great job though. It's not the fastest. So this particular cut that we're going to be doing, and here's a picture of what I'm going to ultimately have done. And this is going to be for a display for a marine shop here in the Dominican Republic that are interested in having a display to promote these switch panels that we are making. So we're going to go ahead and leave this to cut. This will probably take 3 or 4 hours, maybe even longer, to do the first cut, and then we'll do the second run afterwards, and then we're going to time lapse all of that for you guys so not bore you, and then we'll go ahead with the next stage of making a custom boat switch panel on a diode laser. Now guys, I keep forgetting, but please go ahead and subscribe. Now we can take a look and we can see that we have had one pass. Now you can get little brackets to hold down your plexiglass, which I do advise. I'm a little bit lazier now because I've done it a few times. So, but if you bump it or you bump this table by any means now, and you try to do a second pass with these older style diode lasers, you are going to obviously not line up with your lettering again. So that is now the first pass. Just going to go ahead and tell it to start the laser again. So we have gone ahead and run 3 passes of the diode laser over the plexiglass that we cut in, and we are going to go ahead today and show you the balance of how it is. So the total cut time for this was long. I timed it this time. I've never really timed it, and it took 21 hours to do 3 passes. So this is how it is in the laser. We're just going to gently move the diode out of the way, and we're going to go ahead and take it out. And now the next thing to do is to get the marking paper off, and as you see, it just comes off with your fingers, but it comes off really easy just with washing it with plain water. So we're going to go ahead and give that a wash, and then the next thing we can do is we'll start drilling the holes. Now what I do with mine is I make little dots with the laser so that I know where to drill the holes. These will be for LEDs and these will be for the switches. And we're going to go ahead and use a vernier that I'm busy printing on the 3D printer now, and that is to show you guys how to measure the size of what you need and show you how to set up the drill for drilling the holes for the switches. Now, as mentioned, you can see the marking paint comes off really easy just with water. So we're going to go ahead and get that out, and I don't know if you can see closely the dirt, which is actually the burnt paint from the laser. We're going to go ahead and get all of that out. And this is the first time actually that I've done 3 passes with my laser. I've only used to do 2 at the most, and I must say I can feel with my finger already that it's a really nice deep groove, which you're going to see later when we do the marking of the paint. The deeper the groove, the easier that process begins. So we're just going to go ahead and give this a quick wash, and then we'll get ready to start drilling the holes. So after giving it a little wash down and a clean, we're going to go ahead and show you what the not finished product is, but I'm going to hold this up against a white background and hopefully you can get a better view of it. Now it is still a little bit gray, and that I will clean off later. You'll see when I clean with thinners. Now in fact, if you're going to be using black lettering against white, it's not that serious. You just need to make sure that all the burn debris is so that the paint sticks. But for now I'm going to leave it a little bit gray because it's going to be easier for us to see the holes, and then we're going to go ahead and draw the holes for the switches. Well, we're back. Our verniers have been printed by our 3D machine, and now we are going to go ahead and show you how we make the holes for the switches, or how we used to make the holes with the switches. Next week we'll be making them with a new on-take laser which will cut all the holes for us. So let's go ahead and show you. Okay, so as explained, I went ahead and printed out a big and a small vernier. Now what we're going to go ahead and do with these are, we can go ahead and use them for measurements. I mean, obviously this is not an engineering machine, but effectively what I just use these for is simply to check the size. So we go ahead and we can see that slides nicely over there. Then we go over here to our drill bit, and we can see she slides nicely over there. So for my LEDs, I know that I just have to go the first step of the stepper drill. Now, a little way to do that, if you ever wanted to, if you're drilling, a little trick of mine that I've learned from somebody, is if you wanted to make sure you didn't go past that, you can just run a piece of tape over your step drill, and then that's going to tell you that you mustn't draw past the tape. So that'll give you your depth for your LEDs. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and just drill the holes for the LEDs. So we have over here a piece of wood. With the plexiglass, you always want to have it on a good solid surface. Everything we're doing in here is how I started doing these switch panels. So I'm making this video to show you exactly how we used to do it. We now have drill presses and a lot of other things, but for yours who use, I'm going to use the most basic equipment we have so you guys can go ahead and see. So you want it on a flat, solid surface. Any kind of space between the plexiglass can cause the plexiglass to crack when you're drilling through it. So the flatter piece of like wood or something you have, the better. So you always want to get your nice and slow. So now we have gone ahead and drilled all the little holes for the LED. The next thing we're going to go ahead and do is the horn. Now our horn switch, something else to be, always make sure after you drill in, you don't have any of the plexiglass, the material from the plexiglass lying underneath, because when you come to put the plexiglass back down again, it can cause it to be a little off center. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing here. We're going to take our little vernier that we printed, and we're going to gently squeeze that down on the threads. And that's the size that we are going to need for that one. So we can go ahead and take that piece of tape off. And we come back over here. And we can slide that down to see that that's where we need to go down on the stepper drill. So we can go ahead and hold that with our fingers. Get some tape. Wrap the tape around the step drill, and now we know how deep we have to go. Now, what I do with this is I normally have, like I say, nowadays we actually using a drill press, but we're going to go ahead now and we're going to drill all the way through the plexiglass, and we're actually going to drill into the wood, so the wood's going to have a hole underneath it. And we come over here and we have a perfect fit for the horn. Now we're going to go ahead and do it one more time and measure for our bigger switches. And come over to our step drill. Now I've already marked mine, so I'm not going to go ahead and do it again, but we'll go ahead and show you that we do exactly the same thing with the vernier, and that is how deep we have to go with our stepper drill for all the other holes. So we're going to go ahead and drill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more holes, and we're not going to bore you with every single one, and we'll go ahead. So there we have it. We have our 6 holes drilled, and as you can see by our little switch, we have a perfect fit. So the next step now is to go ahead and paint this. So today what we're going to do is clean the plexiglass, the acrylic that we have laser cut, so that when we apply the paint, it is nice and clean. Now this particular one that I'm going to be doing is going to be in 2 parts. Half of it's going to be white lettering with a black background, and the other half's going to be black lettering with a white background. As I mentioned, this is a display for one of the marine shops. So coming down here, I've put this against a white background, and excuse the traffic noise, I'm sitting on the balcony of my apartment in a big city. But you can see everything looks really dark and grey. That is still the remainder of the burn residue from the diode laser. So we're going to go ahead and turn it over. The first steps we're going to use is I'm going to use some thinners, and I just use some paper towel, and we're going to go ahead and wipe it all down. I've then found that earbuds work really well for going in the little grooves and cleaning them, because if you have any residue left over, when you come to paint, especially with white, it stands out. But even if you don't clean it properly and use black, the black tends to flake back out of the lettering because it doesn't have a good seal. So we're going to go ahead now and give this a wipe down. Now I just wanted to give you an example. So effectively, if you just take your earbud and you really rub it in the lettering, you can see all that dirt that comes off. So we need to get that completely clean so that there's no residue left. So effectively, you want to rub a new earbud through, and you can see it still has residue in it. So it's a little bit of a cleaning process. I've tried numerous things like toothbrushes, like I said, excuse the racket here. I've tried numerous things and I've found earbuds to be the best. So I just keep cleaning until the earbud comes back clean. So after all of that painstaking work, we take a clear boat, dip it into some thinners, and as you can see, the bud is coming off clear. So you can just go around and test different areas just to make sure that you've got all the dirt out. And when you've got the bud coming back completely nice and clean, you know you've looked at it, you've cleaned everything, and you can go ahead and turn it. So giving it a bit of inspection. So effectively when you look at it, you can hold it at different angles. I'm not sure how well this will get it, but you can see all the lettering is all nice and clear. And now we're ready for the paint. So what we're going to do on this particular one, as you can see, I've gone ahead and masked half of it off. This half here is going to be black lettering with a white background, and the other one will be the other half. So we're going to go ahead now and spray black spray paint around, making sure that it goes into all the little grooves of the letters. Okay, so we've gone ahead and sprayed, making sure, you see there I haven't covered a little bit there, so going ahead and checking that up. We can just go ahead and just touch it up. And effectively wherever you have a line engraved or any kind of letter, you just want to make sure that the paint has flowed inside it. And then it's just a matter of sit back and watch the paint dry. Well, I hope that you're enjoying this video with me. I've decided that I feel like this is enough for one section. Kind of gone for a bit long. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave it at a break for now, and we'll have part 2 where we will be finishing the painting process and installing the switches into the boat switch panel. So go along and please hit the like, subscribe and notification button so you'll be notified when part 2 of the boat switch panel making diode cutting video comes out. So we'll see you soon. Cheers for now.